I never thought family dinners could end in handcuffs. But that's exactly where mine landed that rainy Tuesday in suburban Ohio. My daughter Emily's hand trembled as she reached for the salt shaker. But I saw the glint of that tiny amber bottle slipping from her sleeve, poison, plain as the faded American Eagle tattoo on my wrist from my wilder days. In that split second, before the soup could seal our fate, I grabbed her wrist and whispered, "Not in my house. Kid. Not after everything I've buried for you." The steam from the pot curled up like smoke from a back alley deal gone south, carrying the scent of carrots and betrayal. Emily's eyes widened, not with guilt, but with that cold calculation I'd seen flicker in her since she hit puberty, like she was already 3 steps ahead, plotting her escape. I twisted her arm just enough to make the vial clatter to the linoleum. The label mocking me, rat poison for unwanted pests. God. The irony burned worse than the broth scorching my palm as I yanked the pot off the burner. This wasn't some Lifetime movie meltdown. This was my blood. My baby girl, trying to erase me from the family ledger I'd balanced for years. We'd been through hell together, or so I thought. Emily was 22 now, fresh out of community college with a barista gig at that hipster spot in Cleveland, slinging lattes like they were silver bullets. Our house in Lakewood was the kind of blue-collar relic you'd see in a Springsteen song, sagging porch, American flags on every neighbor's lawn, and a driveway cluttered with her beat-up Honda that I'd co-signed for after the accident. That accident, the one that started it all. The one I'd confessed to, lied for, served time for, because who else was going to protect her from the truth? Cops in this town don't care about good intentions. They see a single mom with a record and a daughter with stars in her eyes. And they pin the tail on the donkey, every time. It was 5 years back. A sticky July night when the cicadas screamed like sirens. Emily had just turned 17, wild with that teenage fire that makes you invincible. We'd fought. Bad. The kind where plates shatter and words cut deeper than switchblades. She stormed out in my old Chevy, the one with the bumper sticker reading "Proud Mom of a Future President," and roared off to meet her boyfriend. That sleazy Jake with the neck tattoos and dreams of flipping houses he couldn't afford. I paced the kitchen, nursing a Bud Light, cursing the deadbeat dad who'd bailed when she was in diapers. Hours ticked by. Then the call, a fender bender on I-90. But worse, a pedestrian. Some homeless vet stumbling across the median, clipped and left bleeding on the asphalt. Emily came home at dawn, reeking of cheap tequila and panic. Her knuckles white on the steering wheel story she spun.
Mom.
It was dark, I swear I didn't see him.
He just
appeared. Lies layered on lies. But her eyes begged me to swallow them. The cops were circling. Dash cams from semis caught a glimpse of the plates. I could have let her face it, statutory manslaughter. Maybe juvie if the judge was feeling generous. But she was my girl. The one who'd nursed me through chemo scares that turned out to be nothing. The one who'd whispered, "We'll make it. Just you and me," when the bank threatened foreclosure. So I drove to the station that morning, palms slick with sweat, and confessed, it was me. I was the one behind the wheel, had a few too many. Clipped the guy. Emily was home asleep. They bought it. Hell, they loved it, another junkie mom taking the fall. 6 months in county lockup for vehicular whatever. I got community service on top, lost my nursing aide job, watched my credit tank while Emily finished high school with straight A's and a scholarship I couldn't touch. She visited me in that fluorescent hellhole, bringing contraband candy bars and promises, "I'll make it up to you."
Mom.
We'll start fresh.
Fresh.
What a joke. Out on parole. I scraped by on waitressing at Denny's. Tips from truckers who leered and left pennies. Emily? She bloomed, boyfriends,
Parties.
that internship at a law firm downtown, whispering about becoming somebody. But the shadows crept in. She'd snap at me over nothing, accuse me of holding her back with my criminal baggage. I'd catch her staring at old photos, the ones of us at Cedar Point, her tiny hand in mine, like she was mapping escape routes. That Tuesday, the air was thick with the kind of Midwest gloom that presses on your chest like a guilty conscience. I'd slaved over the soup, chicken noodle, her favorite since she was knee-high, hoping it'd bridge the chasm widening between us. Work had been a grind. My boss at the diner shorted my hours again, muttering about trust issues with ex-cons. Emily breezed in late, hoodie zipped to her chin despite the humidity, carrying a paper bag from the pharmacy. Hey.
Mom.
Smells good. Her smile was plastic, the kind politicians flash before the scandal drops. We sat at the table, the one scarred from years of crafts and Christmases, under the fluorescent buzz that made everything look jaundiced. She ladled the soup, steam rising like a veil. And that's when it happened. Her sleeve rode up, and there it was, the vial, thumb-sized and insidious, tipping toward the bowl. Time slowed, my heart jackhammered against my ribs.
Poison?
For me, after I'd worn the stripes for her sins, I lunged, not thinking, just acting, instinct from those jailhouse scraps where hesitation gets you shanked. Her wrist cracked under my grip, the vial skittering like a roach. What the fuck? Emily. The words exploded, raw and ragged, echoing off the Formica cabinets. She yanked free, eyes blazing, not fear, but fury. Let go. It's not what you think.
But it was.
The label didn't lie, and neither did the tremor in her voice, the way she backed toward the door like a cornered animal. I stood there, spoon still in hand, soup dripping onto the floor in accusatory plops. You've got 5 seconds to explain before I call the cops. Your cops, the ones who think you're Little Miss Perfect. She laughed, a bitter bark that sliced me open. Cops? Like the ones you lied to? The ones who locked you up because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. The floodgates cracked. She paced, hoodie unzipped now, revealing the locket I'd given her for graduation, the one with our photos inside, now dangling like a noose. You think you're the martyr, Mom? Covering for me like some saint? That guy I hit, he wasn't just some bum. He was Dad's brother. Uncle Ray. The one who showed up drunk last Christmas, begging for money, spilling all our dirty secrets. My knees buckled. I gripped the table edge, the wood biting into my palms. Uncle Ray, Emily's uncle, my ex's brother, the ghost I'd buried deeper than my regrets. He tracked us down years ago, waving faded photos of better days, demanding his share of the life insurance payout from her father's accident, the one I'd always suspected wasn't so accidental. You knew. My voice was a rasp, the soup forgotten, cooling into a grave. Emily stopped pacing, her face twisting into something feral. Knew? I found his letters in your closet last year. The ones where he swore you'd killed Dad to cash in. Said you staged the crash. Made it look like a DUI. And then, bam, you take the fall for my screw-up, like it's nothing. Like you're erasing evidence. Lies twisted into truths. Or truths into knives, I couldn't tell anymore. Ray had been a liar. A leech. But had I?
No.
The crash was real. A foggy morning pile up on the turnpike. My ex too sloshed to swerve. but doubt wormed in, fed by her glare. By the years of whispers from busybody neighbors, Madeline's always been trouble. She kept going, words tumbling like dice in a rigged game. I confronted him after you got out. He laughed, said you'd probably poison him next to shut him up. Gave me the vial as a joke, but then he wouldn't stop. Calls at night. Threats to tell everyone about Dad. About you. I had to make it stop.
Mom.
For us. For us? The vial was meant for Ray. Slipped into soup she'd deliver to his Fleabag motel. But why not tell me? Why the secrecy? The sleight of hand right under my nose? Because you lie for a living, she spat. You confessed to my crime. How could I trust you with this one? The room spun. Rain lashing the windows like judgment from on high. I protected her from the law. From shame. But in doing so, I'd built walls higher than the ones around county jail. Now here we were, mother and daughter, both stained with secrets that could drown us. I reached for the phone, fingers numb, dialing 911 with the other hand still clutching the spoon like a talisman. Emily, this ends tonight. No more ghosts. She lunged for the vial, but I was faster, flung it into the sink, where it shattered against the drain, shards glinting like broken promises. Sirens wailed in the distance, closing in like fate's own posse. Emily slumped against the fridge, tears carving tracks through her mascara. You always choose them over me. The truth. The law. But as the blue lights flashed through the curtains, I wondered, who was the real poison here? The vial? Or the love that had curdled into this? The cops burst through the door like they owned the place. Boots tracking mud across my welcome mat that read, "Home is where the heart is." What a crock. 2 uniforms. Burly guys with buzz cuts and that Midwestern stoicism. One with a mustache that screamed 80s cop flick. Ma'am. Step back. Hands where we can see 'em. Emily froze, arms half raised, while I pointed to the sink, the vial's remnants sparkling under the kitchen light like confetti from hell's own party. She's trying to kill someone, I said, voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel, though my gut churned like bad diner hash. Not me, her uncle. But she was sneaky about it. In my soup pot, the older cop, Ramirez according to his tag, knelt by the sink, gloved hand fishing shards while his partner cuffed Emily, gentle, like she was spun glass. Not a would-be murderer. She didn't fight, just shot me that look. The one that said I'd betrayed her worse than any ex.
Mom. Tell them.
It's self-defense. He was blackmailing us. Ramirez glanced up, eyebrow arched. Us? Who's he, miss? I filled in the blanks, Ray. The specter from my past. The brother-in-law who'd slithered back with tales of my supposed sins. They nodded, jotting notes on clipboards that smelled of fresh ink and stale coffee. The American justice machine grinding to life. They took her downtown for questioning, the cruiser vanishing into the downpour, taillights blurring like tears. I followed in my rust bucket Chevy, wipers slapping rhythmically, radio crackling with some talk show rant about family values in a godless world. Lakewood PD station was a squat brick bunker off Detroit Avenue, fluorescent hell lit by vending machines hawking Twinkies and regret. I paced the lobby, nursing a styrofoam cup of sludge that passed for Joe, flashing back to my own intake 5 years prior, fingerprints, mugshot, the works. Irony? Or karma's cruel punchline? Hours dragged, finally. A detective named Hale, sharp-suited with a wedding ring tan line, pulled me into a windowless room that reeked of desperation. Mrs. Whitaker, Madeline.
Right?
Your daughter's lawyered up already. Quick kid. Emily's internship contacts. No doubt, those slick attorneys who'd sniff a plea deal like sharks to chum. He slid photos across the table. Ray's motel room. Trashed. Empty Jack Daniels bottles rolling like tumbleweeds. Found him this morning. OD'd on pills. But toxicology's pending. Note in his pocket. Tell him the truth or else. Ring any bells. My throat tightened. The note was in Ray's scrawl. Jagged as his soul. Or else what? Poison in soup? Or something darker? Buried deeper? Hale leaned in, eyes like laser sights. She says you confessed to her hit-and-run back in 20. Took the rap to protect her. Noble. But perjury's a felony. You know that. I met his gaze. Chin up, old habits from the yard, where weakness gets you played.
Yeah.
I know. But a mother's gotta do what a mother's gotta do. That vet she hit? He lived, paralyzed.
Sure.
But alive. Juvie would have crushed her. Still would.
He sighed,
rubbing his temples. And this Ray guy? She claims he was harassing you both over your husband's death. Says you might have had motive to shut him up permanently. Motive. The word hung heavy, laced with implication. Had I, in the fog of those early years, grief twisting into rage, I'd fantasized hell. Who'd blame me? But pills?
No.
That wasn't my style. I was a fighter, not a finisher. They released her on bail that night, $5K, courtesy of her firm's slush fund, into my custody, with a no-contact order on Ray's ghost and a psych eval pending. We drove home in silence, rain sheeting the windshield like a veil of lies. Emily stared out the passenger window, hoodie pulled low, fiddling with that locket. You called them. After everything. Her voice was small, cracked porcelain. What was I supposed to do? Watch you slip arsenic into my dinner and pretend it's oregano? She whipped around, eyes wild. It wasn't for you. Ray was coming over, said he'd expose it all unless I paid up. The crash. Dad. Your confession. He laughed when I begged.
Mom.
Said you'd probably frame me next. Just like you did him. Framed him? The accusation landed like a sucker punch. Ray had crashed out years before my ex's death. Booze-fueled bender. Totaled his rig on the Ohio Turnpike. I'd visited him in the hospital. Wired $2,000 for bail from our meager savings because family sticks, even when it's toxic. But Emily's version twisted it. His letter said you tipped off the cops anonymously, made sure he went down hard so no one looked too close at the insurance payout. Dad's accident. You collected double.
Right?
For the kid and the widow. Bullshit. Or was it? Doubt clawed in. Memories fuzzy from the antidepressants I'd popped post-funeral. I'd signed the papers.
Sure.
But anonymously? My hands shook on the wheel. We swerved slightly. Horns blaring from a passing semi. Home was a tomb. The soup pot still on the stove. Crusted like old wounds. Emily bolted upstairs, slamming her door. The universal fuck you of adolescence extended. I poured a whiskey neat as the noose tightening around us, and rifled through my closet for those letters. There they were, tucked behind tax returns, Ray's chicken scratch. Page after page of venom. You think I don't know, Em, about the brake line you nicked that morning? He was leaving you for her? That waitress with the fake tits. Insurance money bought your silence. But not mine. Brake line. Jesus.
Had I?
In a blackout rage. Half cut on screwdrivers. Imagining her smug face? No, God.
No.
But the seed was planted. Festering. Sleep evaded me. The clock ticking like a bomb. By dawn, Emily was gone. Note on the fridge. Need space.
Don't look for me. Love. E.
Love. The word mocked as I dialed her cell. Straight to voicemail. Panic surged. I tore out in the Chevy, pounding pavement from her firm's glass tower to Jake's rundown duplex in Parma, where bass thumped like a migraine. No dice. Texts pinged unanswered. Facebook ghosts showed her profile dormant. Days blurred into a vigil. Work suspended. Neighbors whispering over fences about that Whitaker girl in trouble again. Hale called twice. Ray's talks came back clean, pills laced with fentanyl. Street grade. Not suicide. Homicide? Or accident in a den of vipers. On day 4. A tip from the barista grapevine. Emily holed up at Jake's cousin's cabin in the Cuyahoga Valley. That overgrown park where Rust Belt ruins rot under ivy. I gunned it there. Tires chewing gravel. Heart pounding a war drum. The cabin squatted by the river. A lean-to of pine and regret. Smoke curling from the chimney like a surrender flag. Jake answered. Shirtless and sheepish. Reeking of weed. She don't want to see nobody.
Mads.
Especially not you. But I shoved past. Boots crunching leaves. Calling her name into the dim interior. She emerged from the shadows.
Gaunt.
Eyes hollowed by whatever demons she'd wrestled. Go away.
Mom.
You've done enough. Done enough? The gall ignited me. Enough? I covered your ass, literally, and you repay me with poison plots? Ray's dead. Emily. Fentanyl. You think I don't see the tracks. Lies, no tracks. But the accusation hung. Controversial as a Trump rally in blue Cleveland. She flinched, then laughed. Manic. Me? I was gonna poison his coffee. Sure, make it look like heart failure. But I chickened out. Dropped the vial when he lunged. We fought. He OD'd on his own stash. Self-defense. Like I said.
Fought.
The word unlocked it. Bruises on her arms I'd mistaken for roughhousing. The hoodie hiding more. But Hale's clean talk snagged. If she fought him off. Why no report? And Dad. I pressed. Voice a whip. Those letters, did I? She hesitated.
Tin, Ray lied.
You didn't touch the brakes. But you knew he was coming that night. Drunk. And you didn't stop him from driving. Let him go. Crash and burn. Collected the check like it was manna. Let him go. Omission. Not commission, but in the court of family. Was it murder by apathy? We stood there. Rain starting again. The river rushing like accusations unspoken. I could have dragged her back. Forced the confession. Washed my hands of the mess. But something in her eyes, my eyes, held me. We end this together, I said. Controversial decision cracking the air. Or not at all. She nodded.
Tentative.
And we drove home as thunder rolled. The valley fading like a bad dream. But twists, they say, come in the night. The days after the cabin were a fragile truce. The kind built on eggshells and black coffee. Where every glance carried the weight of what-ifs. Emily stayed. Holed up in her room with textbooks and takeout. Prepping for her psych eval like it was finals week at OSU. I played the good mom, laundry folded military crisp, dinners of meatloaf and mashed, the heartland staples that promise normalcy. But normal fled the day Ray's autopsy hit the fan. Homicide confirmed. Trace amounts of that rat poison in his system. Ingested hours before the fentanyl kicker. Hale's call came at midnight. Voice gravel over the line. Your girl's prints on the vial shards. Madeline. And a witness. Motel clerk saw her leaving his room that night, carrying a thermos. Soup. Maybe.
Soup.
My soup. Repurposed into a murder weapon. Emily confessed over dawn's weak light filtering through the blinds. Her face pale as Wonder Bread. I want to talk him down. Brought the stuff as leverage. Back off or sip this. He laughed. Wrestled it away. Took a swig thinking it was booze. Then he lunged. High already? And I panicked, fentanyl from his stash. Jabbed it in his thigh, like an EpiPen from hell. He convulsed. Went still. I ran. Self-defense? Or premeditated payback for years of torment? The line blurred. Controversial as the Second Amendment debates raging on Fox News in the next room. We lawyered up. Her firm's top shark. A silver-haired bulldog named Voss who billed by the heartbeat. Plea to involuntary, he growled in our living room. Tie loosened like a noose. Ray was a scumbag, record longer than your arm. DL bite for second degree. 5 years suspended if we spin the abuse angle. Abuse. Emily nodded. But her eyes flicked to me accusing, grateful, and Mom's confession? The hidden run. Voss steepled fingers. That perjury? We bury it. Family's secrets stay buried. Buried. The word echoed Ray's letters. My doubts. But Voss didn't know the half. While Emily prepped her story, I dug old school, combing pawn shops and back alley bars where Ray's crowd slunk. Turns out, he'd been playing both sides, blackmailing Emily with Dad's secrets, but feeding me crumbs too. Anonymous notes hinting she'd taken after you. Wheels spinning wild. Paranoia? Or truth? One rainy afternoon, I cornered his ex. A chain-smoking broad named Tina in a trailer park off I-71. American flags tattered on porches like forgotten oaths. Ray? He spun tales for sport, she coughed. Exhaling Marlboro haze. Said your girl clipped that vet on purpose, road rage. Some beef over a parking spot. You confessed to cover her ass. All right. But she was the monster. Monster. The word lodged like buckshot. Back home, I confronted Emily over leftover meatloaf. The kitchen clock ticking judgment. Tina says it wasn't an accident. You saw him, the vet, and floored it. Her fork clattered. Eyes flashing steel. Lies. He was jaywalking. Drunk himself.
But yeah.
Maybe I didn't swerve hard enough. Maybe I wanted him gone. Like you wanted Dad.
Tit for tat. Sin snowballing.
I didn't touch the brakes. I roared. Slamming the table. Salt shaker toppling like dominoes. But you let Ray believe I did. Fed his fire. Turned him against me. She stood. Chair scraping linoleum. Because you let Dad drive. Knew he was loaded. Handed him the keys with a kiss goodbye. For the money. Mom, for us. The argument escalated. Voices rising like floodwaters. Drawing stares from nosy misses. Kowalski next door. Her curtain twitching. Controversial decisions piled up. Do I rat her out fully? Trade her lie for my freedom? Or double down? Mother the murderer? I chose the abyss. Grabbed Voss's card. Whispered additions to the plea. Include the vet story. Make it mutual madness. He balked. Suicide pact for the soul? But filed it, painting us as co-victims of a cursed lineage. Court day dawned crisp. Cleveland's federal building looming like a coliseum. Protesters outside waving signs for justice for the forgotten. Ironic, given Ray's vet status. Emily in a pantsuit too big for her frame. Me in my one good dress from the thrift store. We sat shoulder to shoulder as the judge. A stern widow named Hargrove banged her gavel. DA painted Emily as avenging angel. Defense. Voss.
As battered bird.
My testimony? The hook. I confessed for her once. Watched her poison once. But blood's thicker, flawed. But ours. Gasps rippled. Sidebar with Hargrove. Whispers of mistrial. Controversial? Hell yes. Pundits on local news dubbed it the poison nest. Mom or monster? The twist dropped like a guillotine mid-recess. Voss pulled me aside. Face ashen. Anonymous tip to the DA. Brake fluid residue on your ex's car wreckage. Archived evidence. They exhume tomorrow. Perjury on the hit and run? That's life. Madeline. Brake fluid. Not nicked, tampered? My mind reeled. That blackout morning. Toolkit in hand. Rage-fueled. What if turned real? Emily overheard. Eyes widening, not in shock, but recognition. You did it. For me, for the payout. No denial, just a nod. The final flip. We'd both poison legacies. Covered tracks. Birth monsters in our image. Hargrove reconvened. Plea accepted. Probation for Emily. House arrest for me pending the exhumation probe. We walked out into autumn chill. Leaves crunching underfoot like crushed vials. The Cuyahoga River mocking from afar. No cuffs that day, but chains eternal. A happy ending? Tragic farce? Reader's hell. Neighbors split. Was I savior or serpent? Emily and I drove home. Radio humming Springsteen. Born to run. But from what? She slipped the locket into my palm. We start over. No more soups. I nodded. But as Lakewood's lights flickered on, doubt lingered. Whose hand slipped next? In the end, the exhumation cleared me. Residue from a leak. Not sabotage, but the scar tissue remained. A family quilt of half-truths. Emily got her degree online. I waitressed less. Wrote a tell-all that sparked book club wars from Akron to Toledo. Revenge? It circled back, biting the hand that stirred the pot. But in quiet nights, soup simmering innocent now. I wonder, would I do it again? For her? Damn right. And that's the controversy that keeps us breathing, flawed, fierce, forever American.